Rituel de Minuit, the Midnight Ritual. The old, creaky Victorian house at the edge of town was notorious for its eerie past. Tales of ghostly apparitions and unexplainable phenomena kept most people away. But for a group of teenagers, Lysandra, Thorne, Ivor and Sylvie, it was the perfect setting for their latest thrill-seeking adventure. They had heard about the Midnight Game, an ancient ritual said to summon a malevolent entity. The rules were simple but chilling. Invite the Midnight Man into your home, then survive his hunt until 3:33 a.m. As the clock struck 11, they prepared for the ritual in the dimly lit living room. The instructions were clear. Each person must have a candle, a piece of paper with their full name, a drop of their blood, and a wooden door. They had to knock on the door 22 times, with the final knock precisely at midnight. After opening the door, they were to blow out their candles and relight them immediately, signalling the beginning of the game. Despite their nervous laughter and the occasional doubt, they proceeded. At 11:59 p.m., they stood in front of the large, ornate door leading to the backyard. Thorne took the lead, his hands trembling slightly as he began the ritual. The others followed, their faces pale in the flickering candlelight. The last knock echoed ominously through the house just as the clock struck 12. With a deep breath, Thorne opened the door, and a cold gust of wind swept through, extinguishing their candles. "Relight them, quickly," Lysandra whispered urgently, her voice betraying her fear. They fumbled in the darkness, finally succeeding in reigniting their candles. The midnight game had begun. For the first few minutes, nothing happened. They huddled together, every creak and whisper of the old house magnified by their heightened senses. The atmosphere grew heavier, the shadows deeper. Sylvie, the skeptic of the group, tried to lighten the mood. "This is ridiculous. We're scaring ourselves for nothing." As if in response, a sudden, sharp bang resonated from upstairs, making them jump. "What was that?" Ivor asked, his eyes wide with terror. "Let's check it out," Thorne said, trying to sound brave. "Stick together, and don't let your candles go out." They ascended the grand staircase, the old wood groaning under their weight. The upstairs hallway was colder, darker, and the air seemed to hum with a sinister energy. They followed the sound to what seemed to be a bedroom. The door was slightly ajar, and a faint light flickered inside. Thorne pushed the door open, revealing a bedroom that seemed to be exactly like his at home. This room, however, was shrouded in an oppressive gloom. Suddenly, Thorne's candle went out. He froze, frantically trying to relight it, but his matches wouldn't spark. The others watched in horror as a tall, dark figure materialized behind him, its eyes glowing a malevolent red. "Thorne, run!" Lysandra screamed, snapping him out of his paralysis. He bolted out of the room, the entity in pursuit. They dashed down the stairs, the Midnight Man's presence palpable behind them. They needed to survive until 3:33 a.m., but time seemed to drag interminably. They split up, hoping to confuse the entity. Lysandra and Sylvie hid in the basement, while Thorne and Ivor took refuge in the attic. The Midnight Man stalked through the house, his footsteps echoing ominously. Every so often, they heard his chilling whisper, "I am here." In the basement, Lysandra and Sylvie huddled together, their candles the only source of light. The air grew colder, and Sylvie's candle flickered ominously. "Don't go out! Please don't go out!" she murmured desperately. The flame wavered, then extinguished. Lysandra tried to relight it, but her hands shook too much. Suddenly, the basement door creaked open, and the Midnight Man's figure loomed at the top of the stairs. Lysandra grabbed Sylvie's hand, pulling her into a dark corner, trying to stay as silent as possible. The entity descended slowly, methodically, his presence suffocating. Just as he reached the bottom step, a loud crash echoed from upstairs. The Midnight Man turned and disappeared, drawn by the noise. Upstairs, Thorne and Ivor had knocked over a stack of old boxes to create a diversion. "We have to find Lysandra and Sylvie," Ivor whispered urgently. They made their way back downstairs, the house seeming more like a labyrinth with every passing minute. They found the girls in the basement, alive but terrified. "We need to stay together," Thorne said. "We have to survive until 3:33. The minutes dragged on, each one an eternity. The Midnight Man continued his relentless hunt, appearing and disappearing, always just a step behind them. Their candles were their only protection, and the darkness seemed to conspire against them, trying to snuff out the fragile flames. Every room they entered felt like a trap. In the kitchen, the utensils clinked ominously, and shadows danced on the walls, taking grotesque forms. In the living room, the old grandfather clock seemed to tick louder, its hands moving painfully slow. The house was alive with malevolent energy, each creak and groan a reminder of the Midnight Man's presence. Finally, after what felt like hours, the clock struck 3:33 a.m. An oppressive silence fell over the house, and the sinister presence lifted. They had survived. Exhausted and shaken, they collapsed in the living room, the first rays of dawn filtering through the windows. "We did it," Sylvie whispered, her voice trembling with relief. "Never again," Thorne said, his eyes haunted. "Never again." The house was silent once more, but the memory of the Midnight Man lingered, a dark stain on their souls. They had tested their bravery and survived, but they knew they had been forever changed by the encounter. The experience had left an indelible mark on them, a constant reminder that some games should never be played. Like and subscribe for more spine-tingling tales.